The Seer of Samarkand, A Journey Through Dust and Stars. An epic tale of prophecy, power, and redemption in the age of Timur. In the year 1372, when the Silk Road still carried the breath of empires and the wind whispered secrets older than memory, there stood a city of turquoise and gold, Samarkand. Nestled between the Zarafshan River and the jagged spine of the Tian Shan Mountains, it was a crossroads of faiths, languages, and dreams. Merchants from Venice bartered with scholars from Nishapur. Sufi poets sang in alleyways, while astronomers charted the heavens from domed observatories. But beneath its splendor, the city trembled, for the iron boot of Emir Timur, the lame conqueror, had fallen upon it. Timur, known to the world as Tamerlane, was a storm-given flesh. Born of the Turco-Mongol steppe, he had risen from obscurity to forge an empire that stretched from Delhi to Damascus. He was a man of contradictions, a patron of art who razed cities, a devout Muslim who drowned enemies in towers of skulls, a strategist who wept at poetry, but never at death. And yet, in this age of fire and conquest, there lived a man whose power lay not in armies, but in silence. His name was Farid al-Din, though the people called him the Seer of Samarkand. Blind since childhood, Farid perceived the world not through eyes, but through the language of patterns, in the rhythm of footsteps, the scent of rain before it fell, the subtle shift in a voice when a lie was spoken. He lived in a modest house behind the Registan Square, its courtyard filled with brass astrolabes, crumbling scrolls, and a magnificent orrery forged by his own hands, a model of the heavens that turned with the precision of fate. Children came to him at dusk, drawn by the scent of cardamom tea and the low, steady timbre of his voice. "Tell us of the stars again, Master Farid," they would beg. And he would smile, his milky eyes lifted to a sky only he could see. "The stars," he would say, "are not distant fires. They are memories, each one a soul that once walked this earth. When we die, our essence rises. If we lived with purpose, we join the dance above. But beware, some stars are dim, not because they are far, but because their light was never kindled." The scholars of the madrasas respected him. The merchants consulted him before journeys. The grieving came to him in silence and left with peace. But the powerful, they saw only a blind dreamer, until the night a star fell from the sky. The falling star. It happened on the eve of the autumn equinox. A green fire streaked across the heavens brighter than Venus and plunged into the Oxus River beyond the eastern frontier. It burned for 3 breaths, then vanished beneath the water with a hiss like a serpent sigh. In Timur's camp, panic erupted. His court astrologers argued for days. Some claimed it was a sign of divine wrath. Others said it foretold the rise of a new prophet. One whispered it was the soul of Genghis Khan returning to reclaim his throne. But none could agree. Then came the old dervish from Bukhara, his beard white as snow, his voice trembling with certainty. "There is one who can read this sign," he said, "the Seer of Samarkand. He does not read stars. He listens to them." Timur, intrigued, sent a rider at dawn. 3 days later, Farid arrived in a covered carriage drawn by white mules, guided by Tariq, a young soldier with haunted eyes and a poet's soul. As they entered the vast encampment, a city of crimson tents and clanging forges, Tariq leaned close. "Do you fear him?" he asked. Farid stirred his tea. "I do not fear men. I fear what they become when they forget their humanity." That evening, Farid was brought before Timur in his pavilion of black silk and gold thread. The conqueror sat on a throne of ebony, his twisted leg propped on a cushion, his gaze sharp as a falcon's. "You are the blind man who speaks to stars," Timur said. "I am the man who listens," Farid replied. Timur leaned forward. "A green star fell into the Oxus. What does it mean?" Farid tilted his head as if hearing a distant voice. "It was not a star," he said softly. "It was a soul returning, not from death, but from exile, a soul that was never meant to leave." Timur's jaw tightened. "Whose soul?" Farid hesitated. "Yours." A silence fell. Even the guards stopped breathing. "My soul?" Timur laughed, but it was hollow. "I am here. I breathe. I conquer." "Yes," Farid said, "but a part of you died long ago, in Sistan, when you were young, when you killed your brother in the dark to take his place among the chieftains." Timur rose, his hands gripping the arms of the throne. "You know nothing of that night." "I know what the stars remember," Farid said, calm. "That night a piece of your spirit broke away and flew into the sky, not to die, but to wait. And now it has returned. The green fire was its descent. It fell into the river because water is the mirror of the soul. It seeks to be whole again." Timur stared, fury and fear warring in his eyes. Then, slowly, he sat. "What must I do?" he whispered. "Go to the river," Farid said, "at midnight. Stand where the star fell and speak the truth, not to me, not to your men, but to yourself. Confess what you have buried. Only then can the soul return." Timur dismissed them with a wave. But that night, Farid and Tariq watched from a hill as the great conqueror walked alone to the banks of the Oxus, his shadow long in the moonlight. They did not know what he said, but when he returned, his face was wet, not with river water, but with tears. And Farid, sitting by the fire, smiled. "The soul has returned," he murmured, "but the healing has only begun." The transformation. In the weeks that followed, the camp changed. The executions ceased. The burning of villages stopped. Timur began to speak not of conquest, but of legacy. He summoned architects. He ordered the building of mosques, schools, and libraries. He invited scholars from Persia, India, even China, promising them safety and gold. He declared Samarkand would be the jewel of the world, not through fear, but through knowledge. And Farid, though he asked for nothing, was given a gift, a library of rare manuscripts rescued from burning cities, entrusted to his care. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Tariq asked, "Do you think he will change?" Farid stirred the fire. Men like Timur are storms. They cannot be calmed, only redirected. But a single drop of truth can alter the course of a flood. He reached into his robe and pulled out a small charred stone, obsidian veined with green. He had found it on the river bank. "This," he said, "is what fell from the sky, not a star, a memory, a soul made solid." Tariq stared. "You took it?" Farid nodded. "Some truths are too heavy for kings to carry. They must be passed on." The journey home and beyond. On the return to Samarkand, Farid and Tariq took a longer route through the deserts of Khorasan, across the high passes of the Hindu Kush. Farid wanted to visit the ruins of Merv, once a city of learning, now reduced to dust and bones. There, in the shadow of a collapsed minaret, they met an old woman named Zara, who had survived the sack of the city. "They killed my sons," she said, her voice dry as sand. "But they could not burn the books. I buried them beneath the well." Farid knelt and placed his hand on the earth. "I hear them," he said. "Their words still breathe." With Tariq's help, they dug through the rubble and unearthed a chest of scrolls, works of astronomy, medicine, philosophy, saved from oblivion. As they prepared to leave, Zara touched Farid's hand. "You are not blind," she said. "You see what others cannot." Farid smiled. "And you, grandmother, are not broken. You are a keeper of light." Back in Samarkand, life resumed, but with new purpose. Farid opened his home as a sanctuary of knowledge. Scholars came, students gathered. He taught not only the stars, but ethics, compassion, the weight of memory. Tariq stayed, becoming his scribe and protector. He began to write poetry, quiet verses about rivers, silence, and the sound of stars. One night, a young girl, Layla, daughter of a weaver, asked, "Can anyone become a seer?" Farid smiled, not by wishing, but by listening. The world speaks in silence, the wind, the sand, the heartbeat of another. These are the true stars. If you learn to hear them, you will see more than any man with eyes. She nodded, serious beyond her years. Then, one night, Farid did not come to the courtyard. They found him at his study, seated by the window, his head tilted toward the sky. His hands rested on the brass orrery, which still turned slowly, as if powered by breath alone. He was gone. But on his desk lay a final note, written in his own hand. "I have seen the end of my journey, not in stars, but in faces, in every child who asked a question, in every soul who sought light in darkness. The future is not written in constellations. It is written in choices. And I choose to believe that even the cruelest heart can learn to weep, that even the blindest eye can see the truth. Farewell, my friends. I go now to join the dance above, but I will be watching, always." They buried him beneath an olive tree in a courtyard. No stone marked his grave. But at night, when the wind blew just right, the children said they could hear a soft voice. whispering among the leaves, and high above, on clear nights, a new star appeared in the eastern sky, small, steady, and glowing faintly green. Epilogue. The Legacy. Years passed. Timur went on to conquer, but also to build. Samarkand rose as a city of wonders, its mosques tiled in lapis lazuli, its libraries filled with wisdom. And though he returned to war, he never forgot the night by the river. Before his death in 1405, he ordered a small observatory built on the banks of the Oxus, not for war, but for peace. And he placed within it a single green-veined stone inscribed with one word: remember. Tariq lived to old age, teaching Farid's words to new generations. He published a book, The Whisper of Stars, The Teachings of Farid al-Din. It was banned in some lands, cherished in others. And Layla, the weaver's daughter, became the first female astronomer in Central Asia. She named her first discovery Farid's star, the green one in the east.